Well, good morning, friends, colleagues, and friends to be. My name is TJ Wright, and I am the founder and CEO of Whelhaus Co. And today we're going to talk a little bit why your employees are over it and why you might be over it a little bit too. Let me make sure my things are working. There we go. On the day to day, the average employee has all this and more going on in their mind. We know that the pandemic has bubbled a lot of things to the top. And we know that on the day to day, it just looks different. What one person is thinking, what one person is carrying, what one person is doing for the day to day differs truly from person to person, making it difficult for workplaces to be the same, to feel the same, to operate the same. And what we know through the post, or now that we've gone through the great resignation, is that there's still some healing that needs to be done. Burnout is still at an all-time high across industries, across professions, and across career levels, whether entry level to manager level to senior management or chief executive. And what we know is that employees and firms alike are saying a couple things. People want to feel connected at work. Employees agree that in order to drive retention, you must be looking at belonging and understanding what is really going to keep an employee happy and really build the employee experience. And we also know that, well, companies have a very large amount of work to do to bridge that gap, whether through events, whether through recognition, whether through technology, or a mix of all of those things put together. And so what it boils down to is as we look into 2022, HR, and as an HR nerd myself and somebody who loves to look at HR data, we know that the industry trends are showing that when we focus on employee experience, we're going to see a lot more recruitment challenges being solved. We're going to see a lot more retention challenges being solved, a lot more employee engagement issues being solved. But where companies fall a little bit short is their diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And what's more is that companies are missing the opportunity that is presented specifically through DEI. We know that organizations, if they focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging, excuse me, I'm still working on that very long title. Let's just call it DEIB. If companies worked on DEIB and focused there first, the issues that are presented through retention challenges, through people operations, and other areas that really focus on the employee experience would be a lot more easily tackled, would be a lot more robust, because you would be, as an organization, looking into what is a little bit more nuanced as an individual. You'd understand that every woman in your company is not the same, and that every man in your company is not the same, and that each parent that you have in your company is not the same. Each caretaker of adults is not the same. And providing the space to create authenticity in your workplace is something that is going to drive work-life balance. And as we look to invite more millennials into the workplace, as we look to invite more Gen Zers in the workplace, we know that they're going to be looking for that type of independence, that type of authenticity in the workplace. So what does that mean? Whoops. It means employees want more from work, right? It means that they want more when they're spending their 40 hours a week. They want to walk into a place. They don't necessarily want to love it, but they don't want to hate it either. And companies are struggling to translate that into action, but that's where we come in. As Whelhaus Co., we blend equity and enterprise. We bring those two pillars together because we believe that they can exist and coexist, and not only coexist, but really fuel one another. We like to think that you might see somewhere on our website, equity fuels enterprise. And in a nutshell, what we do is we help firms, companies of all sizes, small nonprofits to large tech companies, build healthy workplace ecosystems that support their people, that support the work that their people do, and overall really build that work-life balance in the workplace. We do that by tackling the hard stuff, the stuff that's a little hard to digest, but seems all too important. We start with diversity, equity, and inclusion, belonging. That's what most people seek us out for, and we love to do that work. We design programs, operations, standard operating procedures, and small workshops to really help fuel that work. But normally, if I'm being honest, they come to us for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we say, well, that's great. We love that you care about DEI. However, DEI may be just a band-aid if it's just by itself. So they move over to people operations and we help them build structures and put things into place around change management to make sure that once they bring in new DEI initiatives, as we help them become more DEI aware, self-aware organizations, uh, really help them build their social impact for their employee experience, that they have systems in place to support that work so that we continue to be like Nanny McPhee. You need us, you want us, excuse me, we're there when you need us, not when you want us. And so we do that work also through talent optimization with our consulting partner Predictive Index. So we do a great deal of working on alignment between company and employee, whether that be employee to team, employee to manager, employee to work, or employee to culture. And so we help blend and build those relationships and bend and really fill those gaps. And then when the company is all strong, they are feeling proud, they are feeling ready, we help them talk about it, we help them promote it. And not necessarily in a performative way, but in a way that invites more people to the conversation. We're an organization that often asks, who's in the room, who's in the building, and who's in the street, because all three of those stakeholders are important to making sure that the company is thriving. We like to say good people make good business, and good people don't just mean the people making the decisions, but it's the people carrying out the work. And it's your customer base and your audience and your community partners. How do we make it so that all of those organizations or excuse me, groups of people are involved in the work and they are celebrating and affirming the work that you do. So we do that through our social impact work. And then as individuals who help guide that work, we like to say who we are drives what we do. I myself am a queer Black man in a predominantly red state and happen to be in this blue city in a red state. So I am a very interesting person to say the least. And that interesting perspective gives me understanding of nuance in a way, and similar to my colleagues, gives us understanding of nuance in a way that allows us to help you identify your blind spots, because ultimately you don't know what you don't know. And we like to leverage our diversity, our inherent diversity, and our inherent knowledge to help companies do that work. And we absolutely love, and I do mean love, doing it. Something else that we like to talk about is that social impact is in our DNA. So we love to talk the talk, but that's because I'm an HR nerd. I love to I can talk about this stuff all day, but we also love to walk the walk. And we do that through our social impact. And we do that by creating, locally in Indianapolis, we create programs and experiences for Black and African American professionals to increase their social capital, because we all know as business professionals, it's not what you know, but who you know. And on average, we've been able to calculate that gap for African American professionals and social capital. Usually, if we monetized it, is around $200,000 less in social capital than their white counterparts here locally. So we work very hard to create those spaces for Black professionals to thrive across industry and across career level. We do that through our flagship program, Juneteenth Social, a program here that's hosted every year annually on Juneteenth. We also our vendors, aside from the major folks like Google and Amazon, because my God, who can beat Amazon's delivery? Outside of that, we give all of our vendorship contracts, whether cleaning, whether food, whether service, whether administrative assistance, we reinvest our dollars directly back into minority-owned companies. So LGBT-owned companies, women-owned companies, minority-owned companies as Latinx and African-American. And then as a value, you'll find that when we're communicating, when we're talking, when we're making and building relationships, we focus on synergy. We're not a company that believes that there's a win-lose, but that there's opportunity for synergy and winning on both sides in every opportunity if you're willing to look a little longer. We're led by myself and two of my closest friends. who hold me accountable. I am the talker, as you can see. I'm the visionary. I give the vision, I provide the space, and but a CEO is only as strong as his colleagues. And so I have two very strong colleagues, one focused on innovation and design, the other focused on community engagement. My colleague, Joseph, is also predictive index trained and certified. So we do a lot of good PI work together. And that is what we do. I'd love to answer any questions that you have or dig a little bit deeper, but I appreciate and thank you for your time.
Wow, thank you for a wonderful presentation. That was absolutely great. Yes, you're getting a round of applause. You can't hear it, but you can see it.
I can feel it. That's what's
You can feel it. There you go. I love it. So yeah, let's get to some questions here. So what are the methods? Tammy wants to know, what are the methods, activities, programs that your company will use to improve DEIB?
That's a great question, Tammy. We do that. So the things that we love, and you might find that we're a little unique as a consultancy firm. We believe that no one company is the same. So the services that I may provide for a large scale client that's 100 employees plus would be categorically different than, say, a nonprofit that only has 15. But essentially what we do, some things that you'll find that are stagnant across the board. We go in and we talk to people. I know that is just the craziest thing that you can imagine. We go in and we talk to more people besides the CEO. The CEO, often they say, I know exactly what's going on in the company. And then I would go talk to the entry level people and they're like, that man doesn't know what he's talking about. And so in order to really bridge that gap, we do quite a bit of employee assessments. We assess the employee experience, and we do that through predictive index. We do that through our consulting partner 15.5. We also do that through our consulting partner True You, who is a culture development firm based out of Indianapolis here. So we use those tools in order to get a understanding of the playground. Once we understand the playground, we create what we call a custom prescription for that particular company. So for example, we have a small nonprofit client, they are around 15. They have an issue with belonging. And so we create workshops and learning development opportunities for specifically their staff, all staff, and their people leaders. So anyone who has a direct report, whether that be the CEO or whether that be just a team lead. And we provide one-on-one coaching, we provide large-scale learning opportunities, and we also do hands-on, what we like to call masterclass sessions. So a lot of times when you're working in diversity, equity, and inclusion, you can sometimes get caught at the surface level. And so we tackle hard-pressed questions. An example of this would be microaggressions, right? Or unconscious bias, or multi-generational workplaces. These are not necessarily tough DEI conversations, but they are very broad and large scale and can be hard to be digested, especially depending upon your experience level. So we break that down, and we do that in small digestible sessions for our teams. That's a lot of what we do. A lot of companies look to us for learning and development, but we also do strategy design as well.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Danny has a few different questions, so we'll just step through them a little bit. How big is your staff? And I'd like to add to that also, you mentioned like you do some one-on-one coaching. Do you have coaches internal, or is that something you outsource or partner with?
Great question. So we partner with our consulting partners to provide coaching. And we do a great deal. You'll hear me talk about partners all day long, because we are not an organization that believes in reinventing the wheel. And so we in Indianapolis have local agencies, folks like Ascend Indiana, folks like Predictive Index and True You, folks like Black and HR Indy, who provide coaching and coaches. We also work very closely with the Speakeasy, which is a co-working space here, and we leverage their entrepreneurs as specialists,
I know those guys.
You know those guys. They help and they provide some additional coaching based off of the need. So let's say, for example, if someone needs coaching on talent acquisition, which is part of the employee experience, but it's a little bit more technical. We would outsource that from our team. Our team, we like to say we're a small but mighty team. There's a total of 4 of us. So 3, myself, two of my partners. We also have a fellow, and we are also bringing on 2 interns. I fought for 4, but my team only let me have 2.
Got it. Awesome. And what's the average length of time you're working with a client? Or how long does it take to come up with a solution? And then what is your average engagement time with a company?
Fabulous. The solution part is probably the easiest part. So something that I didn't quite mention in our presentation is that as a company, we leverage human-centered design, or the design thinking process, for all of our clients. And so we take them through the design thinking model fairly quickly. So within the first 30 days, we would have already done the hard work of identifying what is the core root of the issues, what are the symptoms, and helping the company differentiate between these are the symptoms of core root issues, and here are the deeper core root issues that you may not be seeing. Once we've identified that and we've brought that to the organization and to what we call our capsule communicators, so the folks in charge of communicating with us on behalf of the company, we then provide that set strategy. For average, we are engaging with the company for about 6 months. And we do that. We put a lot of work into our purchase and our post-purchase experience. So making sure that we provide the service, but after we leave, they're not struggling to remember, okay, so what did TJ say? And what did he do? And I know we did something with predictive index, but I don't remember what that is. So we really, really focus on providing that experience even after we leave. And what we find is that usually leads to re-engagement as well.
Beautiful. One more question from Denny. What is your business model like? How do you make money? What does that look like, if you can share?
Excellent question. So the easiest way to describe that is that we are a for-profit hand with nonprofit fingers. That's what I like to tell folks. So we have a mixed bag of our clients we provide direct service to our clients, and our clients pay us, and that money is used directly into revenue. But we are also, as a B Corp or benefits corporation, we leverage grants, we leverage sponsorships, and we also leverage community partnerships that may have monetary value in them. So there are local organizations here who they'll come to us as a community partner, and that we'll say, okay, well, we'll create something completely custom for just your staff. We've done something similar for One America, for example. Just your staff. You're a very big company. We'll work on you. And in exchange for that, we ask that you partner our social impact programs that we're doing for the 2022 academic year, or excuse me, school year. I don't know why I'm saying school year. I haven't worked in education for a while.
That works.
The year.
Education is not something you can finish. I heard that somewhere.
You just don't. You truly don't.
Eric's question is, do you cover just a local or regional area, or can you pretty much go anywhere?
We go where the work takes us. So we've worked with companies, the farthest we've gone is Boston. And that is with a large company called Numerated. They're a fintech company. They do great work. And we do that work virtually. We prefer to do it in person, but the pandemic got us very good at delivering this type of service online, and doing so in even a hybrid model. And so we do that based off of the need of the company. If they want to do an all virtual session, we do all virtual, and we can do that from pretty much anywhere in the country. If they're looking for a hybrid model or an in-person model, we do that as well. Our most immediate geographical footprint is the Midwest. So we call it the OKI region over here: Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan. Those are the areas where we travel the most, but that does not remove us from traveling elsewhere. It's just a matter of interest in getting into those markets.
Perfect. And Pamela would like to learn more. What's the best way to contact you to get more information?
Well, Pamela, I'm going to drop my email in here. And that is the best way to contact me directly. But I also will drop this here. This is my Calendly link, and that allows you to self-schedule. So I tell everybody, anytime that's there is fair game. And I have it designed exactly to meet new friends and from people all over the place. So hop in anytime and I would be happy to chat.
That's a fun and dangerous tool at times, as I
Yes, it
found out.
is. Yes, it is. It takes a lot of oversight.
Oh yeah. Don's question is, do you have a for-profit company or a nonprofit or both? I know you mentioned the B Corp, but maybe if you can just share a little more
That's a
detail on that.
question, Don. I love that question. So we are a for-profit company, but as a benefits corporation or a B Corp, we built into our articles of incorporation as an incorporated company, we have social impact written into our forming as an organization. So we are a for-profit company, but we have values and we have social impact responsibilities as if we were a nonprofit company. So we say we're not accountable to our shareholders, we're accountable to our stakeholders. And that is those who we serve in our geographical footprint and those who provide additional services. I see a question. So how do you get grants? There are organizations that provide grants to benefits corporations. I won't lie to you, it is strenuous to be a B Corp. It's a very long drawn out process. I've had to talk to here locally, the attorney who very literally wrote the Indiana law on B Corps to just fully understand the depth of it. So what we've done right now is we have, as Whelhaus Co., we are the for-profit company, and we have a nonprofit spin-off brand. So we have a nonprofit under our company called the Glow Up Projects that is a 501c3, and we use that for all of our social impact work. So anything that we do for low bono, pro bono, or specifically for community engagement where we're not looking to make any revenue on it is going directly through the social impact.
Awesome. I, oops. I've got a question. Do you teach a concept or is this part of what you share? It's a concept called microbranding in a sense of helping people find their own identity, their own purpose. So their identity is not tied. There's not a codependency with the company they're working for, which makes it obviously a healthier relationship when you're not codependent and you're not like everything in your life is senior director with this company, and then you depart the company or the company leaves you, and then you feel empty and alone and that kind of. Do you do work kind of like that as well? Is that part of your offerings or is that outside the?
Well, I love the question because it's kind of giving a little peek into our Q3. So around Q3, we're going to spin off our individual consulting, and that services that we'll provide directly to, if one person said, I want to engage with Whelhaus Co. and I want to understand equity, we provide that one-on-one service. Part of the equity work. So here's what we have identified is a need in our particular area. For people of color or those who are minorities in the workplace, there are unspoken rules, and there are, I like to say, we get to be your friendly neighborhood HR person, because HR, as we know, is designed not to protect the employee, but to protect the company. And so what we will do as part of that work is help the employee really identify their desire to exist within the company and to ask them their why. It's not necessarily micro branding, but it is a question of, as you're looking to solve this issue, you've come to us, you've said, I'm having this issue with my manager, I've gone to HR and they're unresponsive and I don't know what to do. And we get a lot of that. I get a lot of emails, a lot of calls, a lot of Facebook messages, a lot of LinkedIn messages around, hey, can you really work out this HR issue with me? And part of doing that is helping them understand from your perspective as the employee, what's your why? Why do you want to push this issue? Not to say that you shouldn't push the issue, but is the issue more closely aligned with your work, or is it more closely aligned with what you feel is your definition of justice? And if that's your definition of justice, let's talk about that. Let's unpack that. And so we do a lot of unpacking to uncover a person's why. And typically when we do that work, the client on their own really identifies their own desire to break away from the brand. That's something that I see a lot of with those who are early career professionals. So our young millennials and our Gen Zers, this is something they really step into on their own. I kind of identify it as an industry trend, but I'm constantly looking at data to see just why that's the motivator that it is.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I see, when you know the reason to exist outside of the company, it often strengthens the reason to exist within the company. And it helps that person have a healthy relationship with the company is some of the conversations I've been having. So I was just curious, but that's awesome. I'm so glad you
Yes, I think
addressed that.
truly in our work, I think we find a lot more, we do a lot of generational trauma in the workplace. That's where we really, really thrive, and that's where we really see. And once you help a person unpack those generational traumas that were passed down from their parents and then their grandparents, who have often said, "You just need to get a job, you need to work, and you got to pay your dues, and
Yep. I've heard
you
it
got to
all.
check your emotions at the door." They're unpacking these things, and they're like, "I don't want to do that. I can't check my emotions at the door. My daughter just started kindergarten for the first day. I'm a mess." They have to really talk about those issues, and we help them unpack that through empathy and really hands-on learning.
Awesome. Yay. Well, you have a fan in Denny. He really loves what you're doing. You can
Oh,
read the
thank
comment there. But I think you have a fan in a lot of us anyways. So I have to send it over to Eric for a final question, but thank you so much. It's been great.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, TJ. That's very interesting. It's very good to hear from you. So the final question is, what can we as a community here in Orlando do for you?
Oh, that is a great question. I have my notes. I'm a note taker, so you'll have to excuse me. Make sure I'm sharing all the things that my team said. Say this. Don't just go off. It's so nice. Isn't it nice to have people accountable? Accountability friends. So something that we're really interested in, or areas that we really need assistance with, we're always looking for clients. We are looking to break into new markets, new areas, new organizations, whether small or big. We truly love doing this work. And so any introductions to folks who you recognize, or they have self-identified that they're looking to do work in the DEIB space, or they're looking to do work or in the HR space and looking to give their employee experience or people operations a facelift or a cosmetic lift, we'd love to do that work. Selfishly, we're also looking for interns, and we believe interns can work anywhere, courtesy of Zoom and other technology. So we're constantly looking for interns and early career professionals who are interested in social entrepreneurship, interested in this type of workforce development, but not quite sure what that means. We want to be that learning partner for them and to create more creative thinkers in this space. And then lastly, we are desperate. I'm good at many things, but let me tell you what I'm not good at: content creation. Hate it, hate Instagram, don't understand TikTok, if I'm being honest with you. But I understand it's important. And so we are seriously looking for pro bono marketing assistance, whether that's, so we do great work with our brand, but really leveraging our social network channels outside of LinkedIn and email and other spaces that my little siblings tell me are for old people. So I need some help. Apparently Facebook is not where it's at anymore. And we're definitely looking for help in that area.
All right. Well, if anybody wants to get in touch with you to talk about this, I know you dropped your email and website into the chat. So everybody, make sure you download the chat before we go, and then please get in touch with TJ. I'm sure you and Dawn would have some great conversations. I highly recommend you guys talk on Zoom, and I know Pamela had some questions, and I think you guys should talk as well.
Awesome.
So. All right. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Share my screen one more time so we can look at her wonderful logo. Dawn Sipley of Sipley the Best. I'm guessing just by looking at your background, you have a thing for octopi, and not just as a logo, but I'm sure there's a story of a fascination of them for you. What is that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of a two-pronged story. What is not posted on my website is I was born to drug addicted parents and was emancipated by the age of 16 and living on my own. And, through that trauma in my childhood, I really felt that I was able to chameleon myself into different atmospheres and adjust accordingly. And octopus are very good at doing that. And I was always very handy. Being a Florida girl, born and raised, huge fisherman. I love sea life and all those types of things. And I had been looking for a chain, a piece of jewelry that was ocean oriented, but mermaids are fake and starfish are stupid. So I wanted something really creative and, you know, unique and amazing. And I found, you can't really see it, but I found this piece. You can go on my website, simplythebest.com. And see, and so I started wearing this piece, and then all of a sudden people started, hey, I found a cheese cutter octopus, here you go. I found a coffee cup octopus, here you go. And one thing that I ended up accidentally collecting was that. So when I created this company, I was looking for a logo, and everybody was like, well, of course, you're the extra hands in HR. It has to be the octopus. And so it was born. So
Excellent.
That's kind of the long story behind it.
I got scared by an octopus in a movie when I was about 3. And so illustrated logos is about as close as I can get without getting creeped out.
Yeah, you would be very uncomfortable in my office or my home. My poor husband is just surrounded by tentacles, and I think he's about over it at this point. So.
Cool. Well, I will let you take it away and tell us
Great.
about Sipley the Best, please.
Yeah, so I will share my screen real quick. I didn't do an amazing slideshow presentation, but here we go. So I'm gonna get out of my email and move this. Where'd it go? So I have almost 20 years of HR experience. I started off my career in the corporate HR space and then transitioned over to the world of staffing. And I had an amazing 12 years in the staffing industry. But what I quickly realized is the world did not need another staffing company that's just flinging resumes all over the place. What they needed to learn was just how to hire better and how to be better bosses and not to lose their talent once they had it. I was just giddy with TJ's presentation because he did an amazing job. DEI is a huge passion of mine. And boy, I put myself in some boiling water all the time by asking old white guys why they can't find any people of color or any kind of diversity to work. So it's always fascinating to me, those conversations. So I serve both the employer and the employee. It is, of course, companies have deeper pockets than employees have. And so that is always my primary market. When I come to my marketing, I have an amazing marketing director that really helps me cultivate that messaging. I had a newsletter go out today that was called Naked But Hiring. It's a cute, cheeky little story about how I hired someone while I was pretty much naked in the dressing room at Victoria's Secret because I knew she was the one. So I've been accused of being very transparent. Someone once told me, you know what, Dawn, I feel like you would preach on a bar stool and cuss in a church pew. And I was like, I think I've done both. So here are some of my business services. I clicked on the wrong thing. Sorry about that. For businesses. So what I wanted to come to this group today was about this HR subscription, and it's at the top for a reason. What I would like to do is I would like to have 3 to 5 HR subscription clients that are paying me a flat fee every month to be their HR director. My problem that I'm having is everybody still thinks of me as the staffing lady. I started this company in September of 2020. And I have a very good friend the other day who did an amazing introduction to me and said that I was in staffing and I wanted to choke her. And so kind of getting over that, that understanding of what I do. Job fair services is something I created, and here's just a couple of more. Another avenue that I would like to monetize is my knowledge. With nearly 100 years of experience, I love public speaking and I enjoy the stage. I swear they put catnip in a microphone. I am high as a kite when I get off stage. So trying to monetize my speaking engagements would be excellent. And then Lastly, how to sell online, like how do you become a social media influencer? I'm right there with you, TJ. I deleted TikTok. I just couldn't. I was like, it's not, well, I'm just scrolling right into the oblivion of crazy. And I've made the vast majority of my money off of Facebook. I make a lot of money off of Facebook. Instagram, I'm barely really having any engagement and whatnot. But how can I monetize my knowledge, my speaking ability, my YouTube channel, that kind of thing? So I'm just a baby in this company with not even being at my second year mark. And then I also serve job seekers. It's more of my heart work. That's kind of TJ why I was looking to start a nonprofit, because I swear I get more people jobs outside of the company than I do inside the company, because everybody knows me as the job lady. And so could I get grants to do that, to help do the work that I feel called to do, which oftentimes is walking with the unemployed through the unemployment process. So these are just some of the services that I provide to job seekers. And then over here to the left, these are jobs that I'm currently actively recruiting for companies around town. So these are all companies that are paying me a flat monthly fee to be their HR director with a concentration in recruitment. So unlike staffing, where you're paid 15 to 25% of their annual salary per head at the time of hire, I get paid on the front end, and it's a flat monthly fee. So it ends up being more affordable for business owners. So it's a really great alternative to using a staffing company, because you actually get a lot of education behind it. So here's some upcoming events. This is me on stage with that microphone that has the catnip in it. I do lots of job fairs for companies. If you can't afford to send your folks out to a job fair, I'll go on your behalf. I'll set up the table. I'll represent your company and your openings, and I'll bring you back all the amazing resumes that I collect during that time together. So these are just some of those things. So anyway, I want to open it up for questions, because I'm not here to talk about me. I'm here to get my problem solved and to pick all these amazing brains that I have in the room. So what questions are out there that I can answer?
Well, thank you for sharing. First of all, it's always fascinating, especially, I don't know if you're going through a rebrand or if you just need to kind of shift focus, but I'm curious, what kind of person or who's in your heart that you just love to help? If money wasn't the issue, right? If everyone had equal money, like who would you be helping? Who's in your heart to really help in this, what you do?
Really, those small business owners that are starting to make their first hires. They just don't even know where to start. They think they need another them, and that is the last thing that they need. They need a yin to their yang. And guiding them and coaching them and consulting with them on how to make, because I love me some predictive index, how to make a predictive index model to hire the personalities, to hire the talent, to hire the thing, to make the big vision come true. And I love what TJ said about kind of knowing your why, and what you said, Josh, about your personal branding, because you have to have your personal identity aligned with the company identity. And unless you have that, you don't have any chance of having employee engagement. It's so much more important than a job. And that's why we're seeing the Great Resignation even happen, because we got a stark look at reality, that mortality is real, that we are replaceable and we are expendable, not only by our employers, but by our government, by society, like just a lot of high level anxiety kind of stuff. So Denny, I am not a lone wolf. I have a team with me. I have my amazing office manager, who's the yin to my yang, because I practice what I preach. I operate with very high level of vision. I'm very relationship driven. And that's why I love being a consultant, right? Because I get to walk that path with people. And I also have an HR director and a part-time recruiter. So I have a team of 4. Like TJ, I have not dipped my toe into the world of interns, but it is something that I'm considering, because I think it would be highly valuable to individuals that are young in their career or looking at a career change, to see the behind the scenes veil of what's really going on in HR, what's really going on in companies, because what a company puts on their job description isn't necessarily what they're hiring for. I know that's shocking to a lot of folks, but it's true.
Yeah, Eric said, oh, can you see the chat?
Yep. Do I specialize in any kind of certain company or industry? No, and that's a blessing and a curse. Really, I'm focused more on companies that are focused on culture, that value their human capital and want to be able to bring a lot of value to their employees and reduce their turnover. So really that 15 to 40 employee size is the employee size that is ideal for me. Usually you're not hiring in an HR director until you're at the 50 or above 50 mark. The general in the rule of thumb is it's one HR professional per 100 employees that you have. So most of my clients, they don't have an HR professional on there, but they got plenty of people and plenty of problems, but not enough profit to be able to afford a full-time HR director.
Right. So you would fall under fractional HR in a sense, right? As far as the borrow title, let's say.
Yeah.
But
Workforce
you would
development consultant, fractional HR. That's the world that I'm in. But what I found myself is I've been stuck in this staffing loop. And so and I'm making good money, don't get me wrong, but I can't plan my company growth when it's project by project by project. I need a solid base layer of residual. We used to call it retainer. I call it subscription because of, that's kind of how our society looks at things now. So that's what I'm looking to kind of get, is that base layer where I know that my costs are covered, and then all the one-offs, all the projects and everything else is just kind of the gravy on top.
It kind of sounds like staffing it could be like considered your lead magnet in a way, because that's stage one. Stage two is fractional HR. So now that we got the people, now it's all right, we need to get you on subscription. Here's the next step.
Right.
Because especially in any offering, there should always be a next step. You should never have an end to your offering where you say, okay, great, nice working with you, take care, bye-bye.
Right.
I don't, I'm on to the next person. It should always be an ongoing relationship. And it just seems like fractional HR is just a natural next stage that should be easy to present, should be easy to help people or companies transition to after you find them the right people. So maybe that's part of what to work on to make sure that that's an easy transition for companies.
And that's how I gain most of my clients. But what I would love to have is that they're approaching me for that, not me not convincing, but not me having to transition them over to that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So approaching them directly for the fractional HR, but bringing your years of staffing experience and bringing some of the other things that maybe other fractional HR folks don't have. So it's finding that positioning, finding that the brand positioning and the offering. I keep thinking fractional HR, but a whole person. You know, maybe playing off that. You might be getting fractional HR services, but you're getting the entire person. You're getting all of me, and kind of bringing that in your message. Maybe that could be powerful too.
Absolutely. The biggest problem that we're having right now in business is attracting good talent, right? The days of posting an Indeed ad and getting qualified resumes is dead. It's gone, at least for now it is. And so companies are absolutely clueless on how to even get the qualified resume in their door. And so that's really what I focus on is that area. Because I don't know of another fractional HR person that does what I do the way that I do it, where I'm on site in their office working as their HR professional with a focus on recruitment. Often when I call candidates on the company's behalf, they're like, oh, are you a staffing company, or how does this work? Do I have to pay you and stuff like that? So it's, my services end up free with the amount of cost savings that I bring in, the vendors that I'm able to bring in. Where are you getting your payroll services? Where are you getting your workers' comp? How are you buying your benefits? What kind of benefits are you offering? What is your marketing messaging? Are you talking to potential candidates in your marketing, or are you just trying to get customers through your marketing? Too many companies only use their marketing and their social media avenues as customer building base, when really you should be also utilizing that to attract top talent to your company and be a place that people want to work.
Yeah. And I like that you mentioned, the Indeed stuff. That's kind of not working anymore because you get a bunch of garbage that comes into those things. So I was going to ask you, and I think you kind of partially answered this, is what do you stand for and stand against in terms of what you do? And if you stand against these job boards that they're just
Right.
not effective anymore, make that loud and proud.
Yeah.
Like whatever you stand for in
Mhm.
when it comes to HR, and what do you
Yeah.
stand against?
Right.
Make that if you could bring that to the front of your message, those things, that's how you're going to differentiate. Because all these services you just listed,
Right.
every other HR person lists the same basic stuff. Like according to the average person, the average business owner, right? It all
Yeah.
kind of sounds the same. The only
Yeah.
unique thing is your positioning when as terms
Mhm.
of your brand, which is what do you stand for? What do you stand against? What is your mission specifically? What is your genius that
Right.
you bring to the table? And yeah,
Mhm.
it's going to take time. It's going to take time to get that clear and then get that shouting out. But yeah, and I'm not the social media guru, but definitely find someone who can help you find the right platform to get that message out for sure.
Yeah. Tammy asked, do folks with top talent use HR and staffing companies to find jobs, or do they apply directly? Oftentimes when they're job seeking, of course, as TJ said, it's who you know, not what you know. So of course they're going to use their network first. And so I teach my business owners to do that. Know who your competition is, know who your competition's best producers are, their best employees, create a workplace environment they want to come to. It all depends on their structure. And that's why I wanted to get out of staffing, right? The staffing model is because those companies, in my opinion, much of the time did not value their human capital. They were coming to a staffing company because they wanted to burn and churn. They just get me people. I need people. Can you get, and I was, well, I need to come by and see your facility. Oh no, you don't need to come by. I don't need to meet you. We'll do business. Just send your people. And I'm like, I don't have people in my pocket. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, I can't recruit for you unless I know you, unless I see your facility, unless I've walked your floor, unless I've seen your communication style, one CPA office to another CPA office, they're not the same. They're absolutely not the same. And I wouldn't send the same candidate to both offices. So what I was able to do was pull myself out of that industry. And what I'm trying to do now is I'm attracting people who do care about their human capital, who want someone who's on the inside representing their company as they would represent their company. I am their HR department. I'm not an offsite staffing company. I'm there with the people representing your company the way that you want it represented. So yes, they do. And no, they don't. So
That actually strangely makes sense.
yes.
One last question from Denny over here. Since you are representing the company, do you train potential employees on how to interview, or is that conflict of interest? And so I guess, like, how much support do you give on the employee side as well?
Yeah, I of course present best practices, right? I'm not giving insider information like, hey, here's all the questions that you'll be asking so you can prepare for the interview. As a staffing company, I did that. But as an HR consultant, I don't. And so one of the paradigms that I've had is I've had strange opportunities where both parties wanted to pay me. The company wanted to hire one of my career coaching candidates, and then the company found out, well, they paid you, why did I pay you? And so, and how that model works, and what's ethical and what's not, and kind of things like that. So we do have a line of that we do not cross, and we only ever get paid by one side. And if the opportunity comes up to be paid by both sides, both parties will be disclosed. Just so you know, this person already hired me as a coaching candidate, but I do think that they would be wonderful for your company. It's up to you on that. So, and people come to me and they're like, well, I don't want to pay you. Well, that's fine. I can place you for free as well. Any company can have the benefit of knowing me and being exposed to my network. I call it my social capital. I'm third generation Central Floridian. I know everybody in town. I can call people up. I've got cell phone numbers, and that's how I am as good as I am in what I do, because I do know a lot of people, and it's that social capital that makes me so powerful.
Nice.
Because
Very
the job
cool.
boards are dead.
Yes. Yeah, I actually agree with that. So I have to send it over to Eric for our final question.
Absolutely.
All right. I give talks on networking and how to network sometimes, especially for job seekers. And
Yes.
one of the statistics I always quote is that 30% of jobs are found through job boards, the rest are found through networking. And that figure comes to us from Career Builder.
Oh,
They
really?
themselves are saying, we are not good at this. You're better off meeting people.
Yeah.
So,
And that's one of the things that I do in my career coaching services. I'll go to job fairs with individuals and I'll be their wing woman. Let me walk you around. I know everybody in this room. You know, that third party testimony is always the most powerful testimony.
yeah, that's important. And that wasn't even my question. My real question is, what can we as a community do for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me as a small business owner, social media exposure is important. So if you could and connect with me on Instagram, LinkedIn, social media, if you see content that you find useful, I don't just talk for talking's sake. I'm always giving tools when I talk and what I think is pretty solid advice. So sharing that information is a blessing. And if you ever know anyone who is complaining about the damn millennials not wanting to work or you know, the job boards, you know, not producing anything, that would be a great introduction for me. I can walk them through. It's not the damn millennials' fault. It's your fault. Gently, you know, guide them to the answer that they're looking for. Or if you know anyone who's job seeking that's just super frustrated with the process and they don't know why they're not getting calls back, they don't know why they're not getting offers. Again, it's not the rest of the world. It's probably them, and let's discover that. You know, let's talk about it and let me coach them on how to do that. So just kind of keeping me top of mind of anyone who needs that connection. That's where my heart is, and that's where the Lord's put me in my calling.
All right, great. Thank you very much.